I know Pesach is fast approaching, so I came across a really nice thought that I think is going to enhance my Seder. So thought it might enhance yours as well. It's from R Rimon's Haggadah, which I highly recommend. And it's about Yachatz, which is a really unique part of the Seder. It's where you have the three matzahs, and you take the middle one, you break it in half. The smaller half stays on the table. A broken piece stays on the table and you tell the Passover story in the next part of the Seder. And then the larger half gets hidden away and becomes the afikomen. The interesting part about Yachatz is that you're not breaking the matzah right before hamotzi to start off your meal. If you know the haggadah, you've got a long time still until you get to make hamotzi and dig in on the soup. But the question would then be, why are we dealing with the matzah now? We're not taking any tastes for a while. And one of the major explanations is that, well, if you have a broken piece of matzah on the Seder, it's really to get into the mode, or trying to experience what it's like to start out as slaves and to leave as free people. So we're going to start off with a broken piece of matzah, which is lechem oni, poor man's bread. Why is poor man's bread a broken piece of matzah? Because if you think about a poor person, what are they surviving off of? It's less than a full piece of bread, oftentimes. Or maybe even more significant is if you think of the behavior of a poor person is very rarely are they going to eat all the food they have in one shot. They're always going to be splitting things in half, right? So you'll eat a little bit now, but always save some for later because you don't know when your next meal is going to be or where it's going to be coming from. So we're really mimicking that. We're trying to get into the mode of, right now we're starting out as slaves, but hopefully later, and this is the interesting part, is we're going to end up being free. And the cool thing about Yachatz is that same moment of breaking the matzah that gave us that sliver of a piece that's staying on the table as we're telling the story of being slaves, the larger piece from that same breaking, that becomes the afikomen, which is quintessential free man's bread. Why? Because afikomen, it's what you eat at the very, very end of the Seder. That's dessert. What's dessert? Dessert is a luxury. It's something that you eat after the meal, after you're full. You don't need anything more to feel satisfied, but it's a luxury. And that's something that comes to a free person. So if you think about this concept, right, that you have the same moment as creating the slavery bread and the free man's bread, and it's coming from that same instant. Why is that so cool? Because oftentimes when you're in the moment of the poor man's bread, it's very hard to see that there could be something that's hidden in the background that's that free person bread, right? It's hard to feel like you're not, that this isn't the end goal, that this is all part of the same process. And apparently there's a Gemara that says, what can Yachatz also represent? It can represent the splitting of the sea. The splitting of the sea, I think, represents exactly that. That moment was both the scariest and most exciting moment for the Jewish people. Why is it the scariest? It totally represents their slavery. They're feeling chased by these Egyptians who they've been enslaved by for the past hundreds of years. And that's that slave mentality. It's coming to the surface again. But in that same moment, it's the most quintessential moment of freedom, the splitting of the sea. Because that's the final end to the Egyptian rule over them. That's when they all get drowned. So this Yachatz, I think, speaks to the complexity of life, that you can have something that's not all good, it's not all bad, but it's part of a process. And, you know, when we think about going out of Egypt, right, Hashem could have taken us out in one instant. There didn't have to be a whole process of the plagues. There didn't have to be this feeling of being enslaved in Egypt in the first place. But the point is that there's purpose in the process. And I think that's part of our life goals, right? Everything is part of our own personal journeys. And on Pesach, we have to be thinking about what is the message in the process of leaving Egypt. And then for me in my own life, what's my process? And if I'm facing the struggling part, is there really, hopefully, some good that's going to come in the end? So hopefully we can approach all of our struggles like that and achieve that feeling and that perspective of real, true freedom. Have a Chag Kasher V'Sameach.